Final score from the Garden: Huskies 74, Illini 61. Little shot clock controversy in the final minutes there in Store South. We'll get to that in just a second as well. Let's start on the winning side. Doster, you were there in-house watching the Huskies drop 10 threes in the world's maybe most objectionable floor that I think I've ever seen put at MSG. But nevertheless, what was your reaction to the win?
I thought that the first probably 16 minutes of that game was about as good as UConn is going to play. I thought that solo ball really got it going a little bit. Silas Demery was kind of able to get to the rim and create off the bounce. And to me, we've seen Terrace Reed have some big blow-up games, and we know what Alex Karaban can be as a player and the connective piece. And I thought we can kind of get into this today, but I thought that today was a perfect example of what makes him such a useful and effective kind of rotation player and fourth or fifth starter for a team like UConn. But I thought we saw how good they can be at the start of this game when the threes were going down, when they were able to get out in transition, when they were forcing some of those turnovers. I think at this point, that is kind of the difference right now between where UConn can be and where UConn is. It's the fact that Solo is still shooting under 25% from three, and Silas Demery had moments in the BYU game, but has yet to really kind of look like the guy that we thought was going to come in and be one of the most impactful transfers in the country. That's the next step. They're healthy now. Well, mostly healthy. Terrace Reed and Braylon both had a minutes restriction tonight, but once those two guys get going, the next step for this team is to get arguably their two best players, Solo Ball and Silas Demery, playing like their two best players.
Go ahead, LaTulip.
Yeah, I think on the Illinois side, what frustrates me, and Rob touched on it, just the beginning of that game, and Rob and I theorized what the matchups were going to be heading into this game. I just felt like
we weren't even close.
A lot of they all happened at some point during the game. It was just they didn't start that way. But Mirkovic, that's a lot to ask for him to match up with Karaban. And it's not just we talked about this previously, Rob, but it's not just about, hey, it's a tough matchup because he'll give you 25. It's what he means in that offense to UConn, and how if you don't have that spot figured out, it can collapse the rest of it. And so I just felt like with Solo Ball struggling coming in this game, shooting the ball, and with how important of a piece Karaban is, you bust a switch early for a Karaban three to make it, I think, 6-2. And then Solo Ball hits the first three of the game. Kylan Boswell's guarding him off ball. And once Solo gets into that painted area, you have to get attached. Because if he gets anywhere under the basket, he's coming back off. You know that, Rob, and you know that too, Sam. So Kylan gives too much space there to Solo, and he's able to come off inside foot and knock down a three. But the other part that was frustrating me defensively for Illinois was it's a tall task, right? Guarding Karaban, guarding Ball, especially when they're coming off those curl cuts, those away screens that coming back towards the ball. So the help that actually needs to come is not from the big man retreating in the paint. It's not from the guy chasing over the top. It's from the guy in the next to the ball gap. Stojakovic, it happened once. Boswell, it happened up top. But when that guy makes that entry pass from the top of the key to the guy curling off, you have to jump to the ball. If you don't jump to the ball, now Karaban and Ball can come off with kind of unabated and get into that shot in rhythm. And I thought there were a couple times throughout the games where they did do that and took it away from UConn. But letting those two guys get confident early, that's everything for UConn. And I thought it helped them on both, obviously offensively, but it gives you confidence defensively. We'll get into rotations and all that stuff, but I just thought some of those miscues early set the tone for Illinois on that end.
It was the Karaban matchup to me. And what makes it so difficult, and we talked about this on Top Dogs, LaTulip, but I want to elaborate on it here because I think he is what makes guarding them so problematic, because he can hold his own kind of playing as a four, right? And I thought he did a pretty good job against Mirkovic in the post. Mirkovic got he got on the offensive glass a couple times. You give that up a little bit because you make a four-man have to chase him around, right? And if you don't have the four-man guarding Alex Karaban, when Braylon Mullins comes back, you're going to have a four-man guarding Braylon Mullins, which is even worse matchup. So he's able to run off those screens. He's able to come off those curls. He's able to, come off of some of these DHOs and get into the paint and snake dribble it and be able to play 2-on-1 as almost like fundamentally a point guard coming off of those screens. And when you have a guy like Mirkovic guarding him there, one, Mirkovic is a freshman. Two, he is 6'8", 250. He's not built to be chasing people around screens like that. And that's why they are so difficult to guard, because they make you match up with them. I think the way that you take advantage, and I've said this before, the way you take advantage of UConn is you got to have someone like a Bryce Hopkins or a Koa Pete at the 4 spot that is able to run around a little bit with Karaban, but can also get in there and just be really, really physical and go through his chest from the perimeter, right? Those big, powerful guys that are the combo forwards are the ones that really give him the most trouble. And I don't think Mirkovic did that. And that's part of why UConn was able to win this game. And it wasn't just, he shot 4 for 10, he had 12 points, but he had 5 assists. It was the way that he was able to kind of get a foot in the paint and find somebody else, kick it out, spray it out. Getting him going really early in that game was something where it makes UConn's offense click. I think you can see a direct line, like where it goes from how effective Karaban is running the offense to how good UConn's offense looks. Like that is how you know if they're playing well, is if Alex Karaban is playing well.
Well, I think the other thing too, I was just going to say the other thing too with Karaban is he's not a guy that when he comes off a screen, he's going to get downhill and like combo dribble. You cut him off, he dribbles through his legs, gets back to the front of the rim. But what he can do in a straight line is keep you behind him, keep you on his back, and get that like hostage dribble. He can do that too. And so it puts the big in trouble if you're going to retreat and play off and play like drop coverage when he comes off that curl cut. He's a good enough passer to where I mentioned the jumping the ball. There was one time Illinois did it and they threw it right back to Malachi Smith for a 3. When Kylan was trying to play good defense and jump to the ball, Karaban just took one dribble, threw it right across to Malachi, and he hits one. And that's, again, like that is what UConn makes you pay more than any team in America for defensive miscues. You can talk about all these Purdue, all these different teams in America. UConn, because of the way they're structured and because of the type of offense that they run, and Karaban being the kind of the through line through all of it, is what makes them so difficult. So I thought his impact, he had the 3 blocks. They tried to challenge him at the rim a couple times, and he held up. I just felt like with Mirkovic, you talked about that matchup, but they doubled the post a few times, and Illinois got kickouts and straight line drives because they weren't just letting Karaban play straight up down there the whole time. So I thought they went away from that. I thought Mirkovic took some ill-advised threes early in the clock, and that's just in addition to the defense that I'm talking about for Illinois. You can't also go whatever they ended up 6 of 29 from 3 and expect to beat UConn. And I don't think that Illinois took advantage end of first half. Those final 6 minutes, 4 to 6 minutes of the first half, the first probably 3 to 4 minutes of the second half. And then even when they tried to fight back, you can't let a team jump on you that many times in a game. And then you get the call, the controversial call. Not to say that they like didn't deserve that call, but you shouldn't be in that situation to have to rely on that type of call, even though in my opinion, it was a horrible call, even after the review, unbiased, of course, but just a lot there. I think Illinois needs to figure out from a rotation standpoint, from a continuity standpoint. Mullins and Reed coming back, they weren't, they didn't have the production today, but you can see those guys coming back. They don't rock the boat in terms of integration. Like they don't rock the boat in terms of like, oh man, we got to bring Terrace Reed back in, and he's just a high usage guy. Braylon Mullins is a high usage guy. Petrovic and Stojakovic coming back in for Illinois in the past couple games, that's a lot to adjust to.